Today I'm going to cook Lamprais. So I'm doing the rice first, and for that recipe I'm using 3 rice cooker cups of rice. You can use any kind of a rice, and then onions, curry leaves, pandan leaves, butter, nearly 20 grams, cinnamon and cardamom seeds and cloves. Then I have some peppercorns, garlic and 6 cups of water. If you like, you can add a little bit of turmeric powder or not. Instead of butter you can add ghee, and this is a Dutch influenced Sri Lankan dish, but with the globalized world now the recipe has changed a bit. So if you like many flavors in this, you can change it all the time. So when you stick on to the normal recipe, this is how they do it with water. But if you like to cook yellow rice, you can add a little bit of turmeric powder with a can of coconut milk or nearly 100 milliliters of coconut milk to get a nice flavor. So what I'm going to do is add the butter into a pan. Directly I'm adding it into my rice cooker pan. Into the pan add the butter, and don't let it melt a lot, then it get brown. So add the ingredients into the pan and cook this about a minute or two before adding the rice. After cooking the onions and the other ingredients, add the rice, then the turmeric powder. Turmeric powder is not a must in this recipe, but it gives a nice color. And then add the water, and I'm going to put that back into the rice cooker and cook this. Now for the next part of Lamprais is several curries. For that, first I'm going to do the brinjal pickle, or just called brinjal paella dish. So for this I'm using nearly 3 large brinjals or eggplants deep fried, and a tablespoon of mustard seeds, a teaspoon of tamarind concentrated, or you can soak the tamarind and get the juice out of that, and nearly 3 tablespoons of vinegar. Coconut vinegar is better, but I am using apple cider here. And some salt, 1 large onion, then a teaspoon of ginger and a tablespoon of garlic, or you can take the garlic cloves and a piece of ginger, and a tablespoon of chili powder and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, and some green and red chilies, 3 sprigs of curry leaves, cinnamon, pandan leaves, a teaspoon of sugar, half teaspoon of cumin seeds and fennel seeds, and I have some Maldive fish flakes, about a tablespoonful. To start this recipe, and for the brinjals I forgot the thick coconut milk, so you will need nearly half a cup of thick coconut milk for this recipe. So add the onions into the oil. I'm adding only 1 tablespoon of oil. Into that add the garlic and the ginger, and then the curry leaves, cinnamon and the pandan leaves, then fennel and the cumin seeds, and into that add a tablespoon of mustard seeds and cook this about 2 minutes. Now into that add a teaspoon of tamarind and chili powder and the turmeric powder, then the green chilies, Maldive fish flakes and the sugar, and then 4 tablespoons of vinegar and enough salt to your taste, and cook this about another minute. And into that add the fried eggplants and cook this another 2-3 minutes until it absorbs all the flavors. As the last step, add the coconut milk and cook this about 5 minutes until it absorbs all the coconut milk and it becomes a dry curry. Now the eggplant curry or the paella is ready, so I'm going to leave it aside. After doing the eggplant, the next step is doing prawn belacan. For this I'm using, you can use dry shrimp or kuni we call it, or dried prawns. Then enough salt to your taste, a teaspoon of ginger, and nearly 2 tablespoons of desiccated coconut, and I have 2 lime and some red dried chilies. You can use any amount according to your taste, and 1 shallot, 1 large one. So if you are using the tiny ones, maybe nearly 6-7. Then 4 cloves of garlic and a teaspoon of sugar. To do this, first dry roast the prawns and the coconut and the dried chilies. So into a pan add the desiccated coconut and dry roast it. Why I am doing this is from the original recipe. If you want, you can just cook prawn curry, it doesn't matter, but if you want to do the correct Lamprais, this is the recipe. After dry roasting the coconut, it becomes golden color, so add that into a dish. Now in the same pan, dry roast the red chilies. After dry roasting the chilies, add that into the same dish that you put the coconut. Now in the same pan, add the dried shrimp and dry roast that too. I finished dry roasting the prawns. Now I'm going to do the rest of the recipe. Into a food processor or a mortar, add the onion, garlic and sugar. Into that, add a little bit of ginger, and into that add the chilies and the coconut, and then the dry roasted prawns into the same processor, and grind this to a nice smooth paste. After doing that, add enough salt to your taste. Sometimes the dried prawns or the shrimp contains salt, so be careful when you add salt. So I'm going to take the juice out of the lime. After that, add the lime juice into the prawn mix and leave it aside. After making the prawn mix, add oil into a pan. You can add a cup of oil or half a cup or even 2-3 tablespoons. That depends on your taste and the oil that you can consume. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of oil, and into that going to add the mix and cook this about a minute, and going to leave this aside. Now I am going to show you how to make the Lamprais curry. For that you need mutton and pork and beef, but I'm not, my kids are not eating all those, so I'm using chicken curry for this. But you can, when you do the normal recipe, these are the ingredients. Instead of using chicken, you can use mutton and beef and pork together with ox liver and make it as a curry. For this I am using a cup of thick coconut milk and some salt, red or green chilies, little bit of vinegar, just a tiny bit of oil, about a tablespoon for frying the ingredients, and a tablespoon of dry curry powder, roasted or unroasted, that depends on your taste, and 1 onion, curry leaves, cinnamon, pandan leaves, fenugreek seeds, cardamom seeds, cloves, pepper about a teaspoon, and a tablespoon of chili powder, and a tablespoon of garlic paste, and teaspoon of ginger, and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. You can adjust this according to your taste. What I'm going to do first is to add a little bit of oil. When the oil is hot, into that add the curry leaves and cinnamon, fenugreek seeds, cardamom and the cloves, and then the ginger and garlic, and into that add the onions and cook this about 2 minutes. After cooking it several minutes, add the chili powder, turmeric and pepper into the oil, and into that add the curry powder, and then add the chicken and cook it about 2-3 minutes, and into that add enough water to cook, and cook this on medium heat about 15 minutes. While cooking the chicken, I'm going to do the fricadelles, the next recipe. For that I'm using 250 grams of minced beef and 1 egg and some lime juice, and then I have chilies, little bit of turmeric powder, half a teaspoon of chili powder, half a teaspoon of pepper and half a teaspoon of curry powder, salt always to your taste, curry leaves, then onion, ginger, some cloves and cardamoms. You can use cinnamon powder too, and some breadcrumbs. This is just like doing the normal meatballs. So I'm going to mix all these ingredients together. So put the chilies, onions and curry leaves into the mixing bowl with all the other spices, and process this about 30 seconds. After processing, add the egg. Always add eggs to combine the ingredients together when you are doing meatballs. Then the meat. Fricadelles always using beef, but if you are not eating beef, it's alright changing the menu a bit and use fish cutlets. So add the breadcrumbs, salt to your taste, then lime juice, and process this until it becomes a nice smooth mix. After mixing, the mix will look like this. So take a bowl of the mix and just like doing normal cutlets, you can use egg wash instead of this, but I like to make the cutlets little crispier. That's why I'm using water and the plain flour with a little bit of turmeric and salt. So dip that in, and then dip that in the breadcrumbs and make balls. While cooking the chicken and then doing the meatballs, now the next step I'm going to do with the banana, or cooking banana or ash plantains. What you have to do is add a little bit of turmeric powder and salt and mix them all together. If not, it goes black. You have to cut it the same time and deep fry this. When the oil is hot, add the banana and deep fry the banana until golden brown. While deep frying the banana, add the vinegar, salt and the coconut milk into the chicken and cook it until there is a little bit of gravy. Once the banana is ready, take them out and put it onto paper towels, and then fry the fricadelles. For that, I have already made the fricadelle, so going to add it into the hot oil and deep fry this until golden brown. So I fried the fricadelles, and this is the last step, and you need 1 onion salad in this. So for that I am using 1 onion with green chilies and enough salt to your taste and a little bit of crushed pepper, and into that I am using half of a lime and going to mix this and keep it aside. So now I have come to the final stage of the Lamprais. I have cooked the rice, then onion salad, fricadelles, the meat curry with different meats together, or whatever the meat you like. You can always change the recipes, don't worry about that, but I tried very hard to stick onto the normal main recipe, but I'm using chicken because not everybody is eating chicken at the meat at home. So I have the eggplant or the brinjal pahi, but this is something that I cooked with coconut milk. If not, you can use mojo instead, and deep fried banana and the prawn belacan. So what you need next is a banana leaf, but unfortunately I can't find the banana leaf, but I have a plate like a banana leaf, so I'm going to use this. Or if you are a person like me, you can use without if you can't find a banana leaf, you can use a foil instead and plate the meal up on the foil and cover it, and again put it in the oven 200 about 5 minutes and cook it covered. Or you can eat as normal, but the normal recipe is you pack it on a banana leaf and fold it and make a parcel and put it in the oven and cook it about 5 minutes before eating. So to start to plate this up, I'm going to add the rice onto the plate. Now I'm trying to imagine that this is a banana leaf. Unfortunately I can't fold this, so just put the rice onto the banana leaf, and onto that add the deep fried banana, then the prawn belacan. If you add lots of oil, it will be with lots of oil. Then the onion salad, and I would like to put 2 fricadelles on the side, then some eggplants or brinjal pahi or paella, and next the meat curry. If you like to add gravy, add the gravy. I got really a large amount of requests for the Lamprais, and I hope you all will love this. And this is a very famous rice dish that all Sri Lankan love to eat, and I hope you will enjoy this. Thank you for watching.